to raise a family and being so close to downtown Chattanooga, and yet a beautiful area. So you got the mountains all around. And interesting, I talk to people who are relocating, and I really have to educate them about the time it takes to get up and down some of the ridges and mountains around here. When it snows or ices over, the 2 or 3 times that we get some kind of winter, or maybe 4 winter events during the winter, if you're from up north, my trip from here to Shallowford Road or the center of Hamilton County is pretty flat. Because I'm in the valley here, they hop on the interstate system. Missionary Ridge is the largest elevation up and down that I have to go, and because the interstate, they usually keep it really pretty clear. So I used to live on Signal Mountain, and the commute from Signal Mountain is quite an elevation drop, well over 1,000 feet. The ridges around here, the mountains are running around 18 to 2,200 feet. The city floor, I think we're at 600 or 700 feet, I think, is the city. So the elevation drop on the local, you can see over here, this great view down to the clubhouse on 18. Yeah, it's, the hang glide off of these ridges around here. So if you're a hang glider and a rock climber enthusiast, we've got you covered on those 2 things. The Squatchy Valley is one of the longest rift valley geographical features in the world. There's only one in Africa, I think, that's longer. That's just over Walden's Ridge from us, and that's Dunlap, South Pittsburgh, Whitwell, Jasper, which is a lot of Marion, Sequatchie, and Bledsoe counties, is a very narrow, beautiful valley. And reason I'm telling you about that is just it's hang gliding. I mentioned hang gliders, and it reminded me of that because hang gliders will just go up and down that valley, catching the thermals, and people from all over, I understand, like to do that if you are into hang gliding. This development owns 1,100 acres on the top of Etna Mountain, A-E-T-N-A, which, historically has been a really kind of a four-wheeling playground for a lot of folks, and it's kind of a point of contention for a lot of folks because they've enjoyed a free playground to go and four-wheel. It was land that was strip mined and owned by different large entities that really didn't care about people using it as a playground. And whoa, lost you there on a little makeshift dashboard cam. And they've recently closed that off, and that's been a kind of a political hot potato for all the people on four-wheelers who they miss their playground. Of course, there's some larger land tracts that hunters and four-wheelers do lease that are nearby that other people can enjoy doing their four-wheeling and hunting. But it's interesting. This area actually will be this mountaintop will actually be a new mountain. We got Lookout Mountain, you got Signal Mountain communities, which Signal Mountain has probably 6,500 mailboxes or households. I think of it from a marketing standpoint, and Lookout Mountain's probably 2,500, and because Lookout Mountain extends way south down and through Georgia, but Lookout Mountain proper, as I know it, at least serving a bedroom community for Chattanooga, is probably no more than no more than 2,500 households. So this mountain for Etna Mountain, the Raccoon Mountain range, will be another bedroom community for Chattanooga eventually, as they got funding for building the road up the mountain and developing that, which is another bone of contention locally in a lawsuit about the developers getting funding for that, using public funds to go up one of these mountains. The other mountain I'm looking at over here, and I'm driving around, this is the new part, I'm coming up the ledges, coming up Etna Mountain at Black Creek. An interesting federal project, and I'm going to take you up there and show you another video, and because it's a beautiful, beautiful place and just a great place to go explore, is the Raccoon Mountain pump storage plant. And it's actually a federal project, and they pump water during the evening. They pay electricity to pump water up into a large pond, lake, and during the daytime, when electricity is far greater value, they unplug the cork at the bottom of the lake and use that to turn the turbines and the energy. So it's kind of it's a very interesting project, and it's actually a beautiful place for bikers and hikers, and they've got parks and things, and it's a really underutilized facility, really, for area bird watchers and hikers and nature lovers. So it's really an interesting area. In the river gorge on the other side of that is absolutely beautiful. You've got Prentice Cooper State Forest, thousands of acres of preserved property. There's river land on the other side of the federal property for that pump storage plant. So a lot of the river gorge of the river, as it leaves Chattanooga, is wild property and is protected from development. And so it's just a beautiful canyon, and really it's just fantastic area if you do have the chance to go and just spend some time either traveling down the river. And another interesting event, if you're into river swimming or these triathlons or Iron Men and Women kind of things, they have a Swim the Suck event each year, which is like a 12-mile swim down the river. And lost you again, sorry about that. Which is swim down the Tennessee River. And actually I had to spin you around here, pardon me. I want you to see the little ponds here at this entrance, and waterfalls over there, and just kind of give you a panorama here. There it goes. I'm not the best cameraman in the world, but I did want you to get that view. Yeah, Black Creek Mountain and their new development on this side. Anyway, what was I saying? Going over to took you to Squatchy Valley, and took you into Mount Etna and Raccoon Mountain. Raccoon Mountain's a great. I took the kids up there to learn to drive, which is along the dam is a little fearful, as they have a narrow stretch, but there's very few cars up there, and it's a great park area, and it's literally I can see the edge of the mountain ridge right there. So beautiful place, underutilized park system. So 27 minutes into this video, you get the idea about Black Creek and golf course community. We had the nationwide tour. They came through here and got to see Bubba Watson and a lot of great players. It was here 5 years, I guess, or 5 or 6 years, and that was really fun. That was exciting to be a part of that, host some of the tour players, stayed with some of the families here, and then of course some of the workers and the volunteers. Quite an event. It was really incredible just to see them perform. I do want to show you the clubhouse. It's just a quick. The housing in Black Creek Mountain is condos, townhomes, and single family, and there's more of estate lots, which you saw one of those homes. I didn't really point out values here, but you can get a 1-bedroom condo in the 1 to 150 range, and townhomes in the 2 to 3, and there's garden style homes in the 250 to 350. Single families are around high 2s to $1 million. So most of the single families are going to be in the 350 to 550 range. I've got some tennis courts, two courts here, and the golf club. See that here, and I'll spin you around just so you can see the. It's not a really good view necessarily the driving range, but there's actually a really beautiful driving range. As you're looking up into the mountain, you get to see your ball kind of cruise up into the mountain, and there's the condos. This property is adjacent to a park. This used to be the Alpine Slide, and if you grew up here in Chattanooga, there was a go-kart track and a pinball machine, and slide down a fiberglass half tube on a sled down the mountain. They call it the Alpine Slide. Actually, I got to take the kids down it a couple times, just hiking up, carry the sled, drag it up with their hands. They've made this lower area here, and actually there was a lift going up as a hang glide off the mountain. See some little soccer field, volleyball court, picnic area. Great family area. We've had some neat events just with our community group over there in the pavilion. So you get, I'm just kind of wondering, what are your questions? I hear a lot of different questions. Email me and I'd be happy to answer. As we started developing this, the developer originally had in his mind the 60s brick rancher. Everybody wanted to go small. And, I'm looking at O-Bar. We started changing the floor plans to a lot more Floridian open kind of style floor plans. So there's the one thing that people notice about this neighborhood is that we had 10 different builders, and the plans that we approved for these different builders in here were very different, and we didn't have just one architect that we approved. There's several different architects, a lot of different architects actually. You might have a Floridian style open floor plan, a more traditional I'm trying to think of some of the name guys that we used out of Atlanta, and but the thing that captures your attention is the diversity of the housing. There's not one particular style that screams that, oh, you're in Black Creek Mountain. It's a traditional southern look and feel about it, but it feels like this place has been here for a lot longer than 14 years. but it is only 14 years old. And the developer wisely put some trees down each of the sections. One may be cherry, one may be magnolia. So in the spring you get different visual effects from the landscaping and the blooming, which is really, really pretty. I'll spin down azalea and we'll end our video. Several houses for sale down through here. We're driving along hole number 6, and this is Azalea Dale. Naming streets is really interesting. Actually, my wife played a part in naming these roads. When you name streets, I never really thought about it, but we're in the city of Chattanooga for most of this neighborhood. Well, now all of it is annexed. You think of some street like you want to name it after a flower or a tree, and Magnolia or Azalea. Well, there's already Magnolia Avenue, Magnolia Road, and for emergency vehicles and for, you know, just practical reasons, you have to name something different. So we can have a double name, but you got to come up with another word. And we had a limited amount of time that we had to get back to the surveyor and get all these things done. And I called my wife up and I said she's really good with words and marketing. What are other words we can use? Magnolia and azalea. We want to use those trees and those names. And how can we do that? And she came up with Indigo Glen is a cul-de-sac street here. But what about Dale and Vale? And so that's literally how we came up with the names. My wife helped with a double name, and Azalea Dale and Magnolia Vale Drive are two of the street names. And there you go, there's a little bit of history